From the first shots of revolution to the complex conflicts of the 21st century, the history of the United States is inextricably linked with its wars. These conflicts have forged its identity, expanded its borders, and defined its role on the world stage. We're about to embark on a comprehensive journey through nearly 250 years of American military history, exploring the key battles, their causes, and their lasting consequences. This is Every American War Explained. Our story begins in 1775, with the American Revolutionary War. Lasting until 1783, this was the foundational conflict, pitting the 13 colonies against the might of the British Empire. Fueled by grievances over taxation without representation, and a desire for self-governance, battles from Lexington and Concord to the decisive victory at Yorktown culminated in the birth of a new, independent nation. But independence didn't mean peace. From 1785 to 1795, the young republic fought the Northwest Indian War. A confederation of Native American tribes, supported by the British, resisted U.S. expansion into the Great Lakes region. The conflict ended with the Treaty of Greenville, forcing tribes to cede vast territories in what would become Ohio and Indiana, setting a painful precedent for future westward expansion. Tensions soon flared on the high seas. The quasi-war with France from 1798 to 1800 was an undeclared naval conflict. French privateers seized American merchant ships, leading to a series of naval duels in the Atlantic. This war spurred the creation of the United States Navy, establishing America's need to protect its maritime and commercial interests abroad. Simultaneously, the U.S. faced threats from the Barbary states of North Africa. The First and Second Barbary Wars, fought from 1801 to 1805 and again in 1815, were a response to piracy and demands for tribute. These campaigns, featuring daring raids and naval blockades, marked America's first overseas military actions and asserted its refusal to pay for safe passage. The era culminated in the War of 1812. From 1812 to 1815, the U.S. once again clashed with Great Britain over issues of maritime rights, trade restrictions, and British support for Native American resistance. The war saw the burning of Washington, D.C., major naval victories, and Andrew Jackson's decisive triumph at New Orleans. Though ending in a stalemate, the war solidified American sovereignty and fostered a stronger sense of national identity. Within this conflict, the Creek War of 1813 to 1814 raged in the Southeast. A faction of the Creek Nation, known as the Red Sticks, fought against the United States and allied tribes. The war ended with Jackson's victory at the Battle of Horseshoe Bend, leading to the Creek ceding millions of acres of land in Alabama and Georgia. With its independence secured, the nation's focus turned inward and westward. This was an era of manifest destiny, but expansion came at a great cost. The Seminole Wars, a series of 3 conflicts spanning from 1816 to 1858 in Florida, were the longest and most expensive Indian wars in U.S. history. The Seminole people, including escaped slaves who joined them, fiercely resisted removal from their ancestral lands in a brutal guerrilla war. The drive for territory led to a major international conflict, the Mexican-American War from 1846 to 1848. Sparked by the U.S. annexation of Texas and a border dispute, American forces invaded Mexico. The war concluded with the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, in which Mexico ceded over half its territory, present-day California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, and parts of other states, dramatically expanding the United States to the Pacific. Tensions, however, were not just external. The Utah War of 1857-1858 was a tense standoff between Mormon settlers in the Utah Territory and the U.S. federal government. Fearing a rebellion, President Buchanan sent troops to assert federal authority. While it ended without a major battle, the expedition highlighted the growing friction between federal power and regional autonomy that would soon erupt on a national scale. From 1861 to 1865, the nation tore itself apart in the American Civil War. The conflict between the Union in the North and the seceding Confederate states in the South was fought over the issues of slavery and states' rights. It remains the deadliest war in American history, a brutal struggle of brother against brother on battlefields like Antietam, Gettysburg, and Vicksburg. The Union's victory preserved the nation, abolished slavery, and began a long, difficult period of Reconstruction. Following the Civil War, the U.S. Army's focus returned to the West. The latter half of the 19th century saw the height of the Indian Wars, a series of campaigns against Plains tribes like the Sioux and Apache. From the Battle of Little Bighorn in 1876 to the Wounded Knee Massacre in 1890, these conflicts were the final, tragic chapter in the subjugation of native peoples and the closing of the American frontier. As the 19th century closed, America looked outward. The Spanish-American War of 1898 marked a turning point, triggered by the explosion of the USS Maine in Havana Harbor and fueled by yellow journalism. The splendid little war lasted only a few months. The U.S. decisively defeated Spain, acquiring Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines, and stepping onto the world stage as an imperial power. But this new empire was not easily won. The Philippine-American War, from 1899 to 1902, was a brutal and bloody insurgency fought by Filipino nationalists against American rule. It was followed by the Moro Rebellion in the southern Philippines, which lasted until 1913. These conflicts revealed the harsh realities and moral complexities of America's new colonial role. In 1900, the U.S. joined a multinational force to suppress the Boxer Rebellion in China, an anti-foreign uprising. This intervention demonstrated America's growing interest in protecting its commercial access to Asia. Closer to home, the punitive expedition into Mexico from 1916 to 1917 saw General John J. Pershing lead troops into Mexico to pursue revolutionary leader Pancho Villa, a precursor to the large-scale military mobilizations to come. In 1917, after years of neutrality, the United States entered World War I. German submarine warfare and the Zimmermann telegram drew America into the Great War in Europe. The arrival of over 2 million American doughboys tipped the balance of power, helping the Allies achieve victory in 1918. The war established the U.S. as a major global military and economic power. The interwar years saw smaller U.S. interventions in Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and Nicaragua, often called the Banana Wars, aimed at protecting American commercial and political interests in Latin America, but these were overshadowed by the storm gathering across the globe. On December 7, 1941, the attack on Pearl Harbor plunged the United States into World War II. From 1941 to 1945, America fought a colossal two-front war against the Axis powers in Europe and the Pacific. From the beaches of Normandy and the Battle of the Bulge, to island-hopping campaigns at Iwo Jima and Okinawa, the conflict demanded an unprecedented national mobilization. The war ended with the defeat of Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan, reshaping the world order and leaving the U.S. as one of two global superpowers. The end of World War II gave way to the Cold War, a nearly 5-decade ideological struggle against the Soviet Union. This new reality led to a series of proxy wars. The first major test was the Korean War, from 1950 to 1953. U.S. and UN forces intervened to defend South Korea from a North Korean invasion, fighting a brutal war that ended in a stalemate and a permanently divided peninsula. Soon after, America was drawn into its longest and most divisive conflict, the Vietnam War. Spanning from 1955 to 1975, U.S. involvement escalated dramatically in the mid-1960s to prevent a communist takeover of South Vietnam. The jungle warfare, televised brutality, and mounting casualties deeply divided American society. The fall of Saigon in 1975 marked a painful and humbling end to the war. The Cold War also saw smaller, rapid interventions. In 1958, U.S. Marines landed in Lebanon to stabilize a pro-Western government. In 1983, the U.S. invaded the Caribbean island of Grenada to oust a Marxist regime and protect American students. And in 1989, the invasion of Panama, dubbed Operation Just Cause, removed dictator Manuel Noriega from power. These actions demonstrated America's willingness to use force to contain communism and assert its influence in its hemisphere. With the fall of the Berlin Wall and the collapse of the Soviet Union, the world entered a new era. The first major post-Cold War test was the Gulf War in 1990-1991. After Iraq's invasion of Kuwait, the U.S. led a massive international coalition in Operation Desert Storm, a swift and decisive air and ground campaign that liberated Kuwait and showcased America's unrivaled military dominance. The 1990s also saw the U.S. take on the role of global peacekeeper, often with mixed results. A humanitarian mission in Somalia from 1992 to 1995 became a deadly urban conflict, famously depicted in the Battle of Mogadishu. Later in the decade, U.S. air power was central to NATO interventions to stop ethnic cleansing in Bosnia in 1995 and Kosovo in 1999, defining a new model of intervention from the air. The 21st century began with a defining national trauma. The September 11, 2001 attacks triggered the global war on terror. The first response was the invasion of Afghanistan in late 2001. Operation Enduring Freedom aimed to topple the Taliban regime, which had harbored al-Qaeda. What began as a swift victory evolved into a nearly 20-year counterinsurgency, America's longest war, ending with a chaotic withdrawal in 2021. In 2003, the focus shifted to Iraq. Citing concerns over weapons of mass destruction and ties to terrorism, the U.S. led an invasion that quickly overthrew Saddam Hussein. However, the initial victory gave way to a long and brutal insurgency and sectarian civil war. U.S. combat operations officially ended in 2011, but the war left a deeply unstable region. The turmoil in Iraq contributed to the rise of a new threat: ISIS. Starting in 2014, the U.S. launched Operation Inherent Resolve, a campaign of airstrikes and special operations support for local forces fighting ISIS in both Iraq and Syria. This marked a new phase of conflict defined by remote warfare and partnerships with non-state actors. U.S. forces continue to operate in Syria to this day. The 21st century has been marked by a wide array of smaller, more targeted operations. In 2011, the U.S. participated in a NATO-led intervention in Libya. It has provided logistical and intelligence support for the Saudi-led coalition in Yemen. And across Africa, the Middle East and Asia, U.S. special forces and drones conduct continuous counter-terrorism, maritime security, and peacekeeping missions, often far from the public eye. From colonial militias to a global superpower with an unparalleled military reach, the story of America's wars is the story of the nation itself, a continuous cycle of conflict, expansion, and redefinition. Each war left an indelible mark on the country and the world. If you found this journey through history valuable, help us create more timelines like this. Subscribe to Timelines, and don't forget to like the video.